No, bad cookies. Auntie Caitlin shouting, no! My eyes snapped open. Lily. She was thrashing beside me in bed, her small face contorted in a nightmare. I reached for her, pulling her warm, trembling body close. Shh, baby, shh, Mama's here. It was just a bad dream. She whimpered, burrowing into me, her breath hitching. Bad cookies, she mumbled again, her voice thick with sleep and fear. My heart squeezed. This was the third time this week. My name is Rhea, and Lily, my 5-year-old, is my whole world. Being a single mom isn't easy, especially since I lost my job at the bakery a few months back. Money's been tight, to say the least. That's where my mom, Marlene, and my younger sister, Caitlin, stepped in, or so I thought. It's okay, sweet pea, I whispered, stroking her hair until her breathing evened out. Just a silly dream. But a knot of unease tightened in my stomach. The dreams always seemed to happen after she spent the day with Mom and Caitlin, filming for their new online thing. They called it Lily's Loving Lantern. It was supposed to be a sort of online ministry, I guess, featuring Lily, of course. They'd set up a little corner in Mom's living room with soft lighting and a backdrop of twinkling fairy lights. Caitlin, who's always been obsessed with being an influencer, handled the camera and the social media, while Mom did most of the talking, all warm smiles and soothing tones about helping those less fortunate, with Lily as their little angel mascot. The next morning my phone buzzed, a text from Caitlin. Hey, big shoot today for LLL. Make sure Lily wears that cute blue dress and maybe try to get her to look a little wistful for the intro shot. Thanks, XOXO. Wistful? My daughter was 5. I sighed, looking at Lily, who was listlessly pushing cereal around her bowl. Hey, Munchkin, I said, trying to sound cheerful. Grandma and Auntie Caitlin are excited to see you today. Lily's spoon clattered onto the table. Don't want to go. Oh, why not, sweetie? She looked down at her lap. Don't like the camera. And Grandma makes me say things I don't understand. This wasn't the first time she'd said something like this. When I'd brought it up with Mom, she'd just waved a dismissive hand. Oh, Rhea, don't be such a worrywart. It's just harmless fun. And think of all the good we're doing. People are donating. We're helping so many families. Caitlin had chimed in, eyes sparkling. Yeah, Rhea, Lily's a natural. People love her. We're getting so many views. This could be huge for us, for all of us. The all of us part was what kept me quiet. They'd been helping with groceries, even slipped me cash for rent a couple of times since I lost my job. I felt indebted, trapped. How could I complain when they were supposedly helping people, and by extension helping me keep a roof over Lily's head? Later that day, after I dropped a very subdued Lily off at Mom's, I found myself scrolling through their Lily's Loving Lantern channel. A new video had just been uploaded, Lily's Prayer for the Hungry. My daughter, in her blue dress, sat with her hands clasped, eyes wide and looking just off camera, presumably at Mom. Dear friends, Mom's voiceover began, smooth as silk. Our little Lily feels so deeply for those who don't have enough to eat. Lily's lips moved, reciting words that sounded too big for her. Her smile, when she finally looked at the camera, was off. It didn't quite reach her eyes. It was the smile she used when she was trying really hard to please someone, not her genuine sunshine grin. A pang, sharp and uncomfortable, hit me. Was I just being paranoid? Overthinking, like Mom said? She looks so sweet, doesn't she? Caitlin's voice startled me. She'd come up behind me, phone in hand, beaming. The comments are amazing. Such an angel. Her heart is so pure. We've already got 3 new pledges just from this video. Yeah, I said, forcing a smile. Sweet. But that night, the unease returned. stronger this time. Lily was quiet during her bath, her usual bubbly chatter absent. When I tucked her into bed, she clung to me. "Mama," she whispered, her eyes wide in the dim light of her nightlight. "Auntie Caitlin gets mad if I don't cry right." My blood ran cold. "What do you mean, baby?" She says the camera likes sad eyes, and if I don't make sad eyes, Grandma says, no cookies." She sniffled. "But they're bad cookies anyway, Mama. They taste like old." I held her tight, a storm brewing inside me. "It's okay, Lily Bug. You don't have to make sad eyes for anyone." As she drifted off to sleep, her earlier nightmare words echoed in my mind. Bad cookies? Auntie Caitlin shouting? It wasn't just a dream. Something was very, very wrong, and I had a sickening feeling I knew what it was. The next filming day arrived like a looming shadow. Caitlin breezed in, all bright lipstick and forced enthusiasm. "Ready for your close-up, superstar?" she chirped, winking at Lily, who was hiding behind my legs. "No," Lily whispered, her voice small and tight. "Oh, come on, sweetie," Caitlin cooed, crouching down. "It's fun. We're going to tell a lovely story today about helping little lost kittens." Lily shook her head, her grip on my jeans tightening. Don't want to play sad for Grandma." Caitlin's smile faltered for a split second before snapping back into place. "Don't be silly, Lilybug. It's not playing sad. It's acting, like in the movies. And Grandma just wants to show everyone how kind you are." She reached for Lily's hand. Lily recoiled, bursting into tears. "No, no, I don't want to. I want to stay with Mama." She clung to me, sobbing. "Lily." Caitlin's voice sharpened. "Don't be difficult. We have a schedule." Maybe not today, Caitlin," I said, my voice surprisingly firm. I scooped Lily into my arms, her small body trembling. She's clearly not feeling up to it. Caitlin straightened, annoyance flashing in her eyes. "Rhea, we talked about this. Consistency is key for the algorithm, and Mom's expecting her. We have that new donation appeal to film." "And Lily is my daughter," I said, meeting her gaze. "She's not performing today." Caitlin huffed, grabbing her oversized tote bag. "Fine, but Mom is not going to be happy. You know how much this means to her, to us." She shot one last irritated look at Lily, who buried her face in my shoulder and then slammed the door behind her. I held Lily for a long time, rocking her gently, my own heart pounding. "Play sad for Grandma." The words echoed in my mind, chilling me to the bone. My suspicions weren't just suspicions anymore. They were a cold, hard certainty growing in my gut. Later that afternoon, after Lily had finally fallen into an exhausted sleep, I remembered a job application I'd half filled out. I needed to print a resume, and my old printer was busted. Mom always said I could use theirs. The family computer was in the small den, a room mostly used for storage now, piled high with boxes and Caitlin's discarded fashion magazines. I sat down, the old desktop whirring to life. I was looking for the documents folder when my cursor hovered over a strangely named directory on the shared drive. LLL outtakes do not delete. LOL Lily's loving lantern. Outtakes? My breath hitched. Why would outtakes need a do not delete warning in all caps? My hand trembled as I double-clicked. A list of video files appeared, cryptically named with dates and numbers. My stomach churned. This felt wrong, like I was prying. But Lily's tear-streaked face, her whispered fears, I had to know. I clicked on the first one. The video flickered to life. It was Lily, in that same blue dress, sitting on the little stool in Mom's living room set. She was crying, real tears this time, her shoulders shaking. "Lily, for God's sake, look at the camera!" Caitlin's voice, sharp and impatient, snapped from off screen. and try to look more pathetic. Yes, pathetic. That's what pulls the heartstrings and the purse strings. Lily sniffled, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. I'm hungry, Auntie Caitlin. We'll eat after, Caitlin said dismissively. Just a few more lines. Mom, is the lighting okay for this angle? Perfect, darling, Mom's voice cooed, sickeningly sweet, from somewhere behind the camera. Just a little more emotion, Lily love. Think about all the poor children who don't have any toys. That always gets you going. My jaw tightened. I felt sick, pathetic. Purse strings? I clicked off the video, my chest tight. This was worse than I could have imagined. My own mother, my own sister. With a growing sense of dread, I clicked on another file, dated just last week. The video showed Lily, looking pale and tired, slumped on the stool. Her eyes kept drooping. Lily, sit up straight. Mom's voice no longer cooing, but stern. We need this shot. It's for the energy boost for Lily's Little Helpers segment. People need to see you looking grateful for their support. But I'm so sleepy, Grandma, Lily mumbled, her head lolling. And my tummy hurts. Can I have a sandwich? Not yet, sweetie, Mom said, her voice softening again, but with an edge I now recognized as pure manipulation. Almost done. If you just give us one really good sad little look, just one more, then Auntie Caitlin has a special cookie for you. Caitlin appeared in the frame, holding up a single, sad-looking biscuit. It looked suspiciously like one of the stale ones from the back of Mom's pantry. See, Lily? Yummy cookie. Just one more take, okay? For the camera. Lily's eyes, usually so bright, were dull. She stared at the cookie, then back at the camera, her lower lip trembling. Off screen, I heard Mom whisper to Caitlin, her little tears are pure gold. This one's going to break the donation record for sure. My blood ran cold. Pure gold. My daughter's misery was their gold. My hands were shaking so violently I could barely control the mouse. Nausea roiled in my stomach, hot and acidic. I grabbed the first flash drive I could find in the desk drawer, an old one, thankfully blank, and plugged it into the tower. Copy, paste. The progress bar seemed to crawl. Every creak of the old house, every distant car horn made me jump. What if they came home? Hours passed. I sat there in the dim light of the monitor, a silent, horrified witness to the systematic exploitation of my own child. Video after video unspooled their cruelty. Lily being told to reenact a nightmare she described for authenticity. Lily being denied a drink because Caitlin wanted her voice to sound a little raspy, more vulnerable. Lily shivering in a thin dress because Mom insisted the wintry look was better for the Keep Lily Warm campaign, even though it was a mild autumn day. And then there were the discussions. Oh God, the discussions. Marlene and Caitlin, voices hushed but clear on the camera's microphone, congratulating each other after a particularly effective shoot where Lily had a genuine meltdown from exhaustion. That was brilliant, Mom, Caitlin's voice smug. The way her lip trembled, chef's kiss. The donations are going to pour in. She's a natural little actress when she wants to be, Marlene replied, a dry chuckle in her voice. Or when she's suitably motivated by hunger and a nap. I saw them faking donation receipts on screen, Caitlin expertly using a photo editing program to inflate numbers on a generic template. No one ever checks these things, she said with a laugh. They just want to feel good about themselves. They mock their donors, calling them bleeding hearts, gullible saps, keyboard warriors with too much disposable income. Each word was a fresh stab to my already bleeding heart. These were people who genuinely thought they were helping a sick, needy child, a child whose image was being used to fund what? The financial statements I found buried in another subfolder told that story. Lavish dinners, new designer handbags for Caitlin, spa days for Marlene, A down payment on a new car listed under LLL transport vehicle. There was no charity. There was only greed, dressed up in my daughter's innocence. My fury was a cold, hard thing now, settling deep in my bones. The shock had burned away, leaving behind a chilling resolve. They wouldn't get away with this. I wouldn't let them. As I delved deeper into the mislabeled folders, I found files that weren't related to Lily's loving lantern at all. Older documents, scanned letters. One set, dated nearly a decade ago, detailed a bitter dispute over Great Aunt Carol's will. There were angry letters from a distant cousin accusing Marlene of undue influence, of manipulating an elderly woman into changing her will at the last minute. There were bank statements showing a large, unexplained deposit into Marlene's account shortly after Great Aunt Carol passed. At the time, Mom had told everyone Carol had generously left her a small gift. This looked like more than a small gift. It looked like a pattern, a lifetime of grifting, and Lily was just her latest, most profitable mark. The sheer, calculated premeditation of it all stole my breath. This wasn't a recent lapse in judgment. This was who my mother was. This was who my sister was becoming. I finally finished copying everything around 3 a.m. My eyes were burning, my back ached, but I felt a strange wired energy. I ejected the drive, clutching it like a lifeline. I crept back to my own small apartment, the one Mom and Caitlin had so generously helped me keep, and hid the drive deep within a box of old baby clothes. Lily's tiny outgrown onesies, a stark reminder of what I was fighting for. Sleep was impossible. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, the vile images and voices replaying in my head. How could I have been so blind, so stupidly trusting? The next morning I was a wreck, but I forced myself to act normal. I made Lily pancakes, her favorite, trying to infuse a cheerfulness I didn't feel into my voice. I needed to keep her away from them, but how without raising suspicion? My phone buzzed. It was a group text from Mom. "Good morning, darlings. Exciting news. That big fish, Francesca Lucas, the child advocate influencer Caitlin's been dying to connect with. She just made a huge donation. Said she was so moved by Lily's latest video. We need to film a special personal thank you for her today. Lily needs to be at her absolute sweetest. This could be our ticket to the big leagues." Francesca Lucas. I knew that name. Caitlin was obsessed with her, constantly talking about her massive following, her authentic brand. My stomach dropped. A huge donation, a special thank you video. Today, they were escalating, and I was running out of time. My mind raced. Francesca Lucas, a high-profile donor, a child advocacy influencer. If she knew the truth, Lily, I said, kneeling beside her, my voice low and urgent. "Remember how you said you wanted to visit Aunt Carol's old friend, Mrs. Henderson, out by the lake? The one with the kittens?" Lily's eyes, still shadowed from her ordeal, lit up a little. Mrs. Henderson was a sweet elderly woman, a distant family friend who lived a good 2 hours away and adored Lily. More importantly, she rarely spoke to Mom or Caitlin. "Can we, Mama? Can we go today?" "I think we should," I said, forcing a calm I didn't feel. "A little surprise visit, just us girls." First I called Mrs. Henderson, spinning a vague story about needing a quiet day, away from some family stress, and Lily desperately wanting to see the new kittens. She was, as always, wonderfully accommodating. "Of course, dear. Stay as long as you like. The fresh air will do you both good." Next, a text to Mom. "So sorry. Lily woke up with a bit of a tummy bug. Think it's that 24-hour thing going around. Definitely can't do filming today. We'll keep you posted. So disappointed about the Francesca video." Mom's reply was instant. "Are you serious, Rhea? Today of all days, this is a disaster. Give her some ginger ale. She needs to rally. Francesca is expecting this." I texted back. "She's really not well, Mom. High temp. Wouldn't be good for the camera anyway. So sorry. I added a string of sad face emojis for effect. The guilt of lying, even to them, pricked at me, but the image of Lily's forced smiles and coached tears quickly smothered it. This was a necessary deception. With Lily safely on her way to Mrs. Henderson's, I'd arranged for a trusted neighbor, sworn to secrecy with a half-truth about a family emergency I needed to handle alone, to drive her as I couldn't risk being seen leaving town. I returned to my apartment, the flash drive clutched in my hand. The real work was about to begin. I plugged the drive into my laptop. The sheer volume of files was overwhelming. Hours of footage, hundreds of documents. I started methodically creating folders, damning video clips, coach dialogue, financial discrepancies, donor complaints, screenshots from public comments. I rewatched the worst of the videos, my stomach churning, but this time with a grim purpose. I noted time codes, transcribed key phrases, Caitlin snapping, cry better, Lily, or no iPad for a week. Marlene cooing, that's it, darling, think of puppies lost in the rain. That always gets the waterworks going. I found saved email drafts on their shared computer, ones Caitlin had clearly forgotten to delete from the trash, detailing their strategies for targeting emotionally vulnerable older women. I cross-referenced names mentioned in the videos with public posts on their Lily's Loving Lantern page, slowly building a list of their most consistent and most deceived donors. Then I hit the internet. Child endangerment laws in our state, reporting financial fraud, the terms of service for View Vortex, the platform they use for their vlogs. I bookmarked pages, took screenshots, downloaded reporting forms. My small living room transformed into a makeshift command center, sticky notes with scribbled information plastering the wall above my desk. The strain of maintaining a facade of normalcy was immense. I had to answer Mom's increasingly frantic calls about Lily's illness, offering vague updates, deflecting her demands to bring Lily over so she could check on her personally. She's finally sleeping, Mom. I don't want to disturb her. Well, is she going to be better by tomorrow? Francesca's people are asking for an ETA on that video. I really don't know. It seems like a nasty bug. One afternoon, Caitlin showed up unannounced, rapping sharply on my door. Rhea, you in there? Mom sent me to get an update and to pick up that blue dress. She wants to wash it for the next shoot. My heart leaped into my throat. My laptop was open on the coffee table, files splayed across the screen. I scrambled, slamming the laptop shut just as she pushed the door open a crack, peering in. Oh, Caitlin, hi. Sorry, I was just... The computer crashed. Lost a whole job application. I tried to sound annoyed, flustered. She eyed me suspiciously. Lily still sick? Yeah, poor thing. Still resting. I quickly grabbed the blue dress from Lily's closet, thrusting it at her. Here you go. Mom's freaking out, you know, Caitlin said, taking the dress. This Francesca thing is huge. Don't let Lily milk this sickness for too long, okay? We need her. I'll do my best, I said, managing a weak smile. She gave me one last skeptical look before leaving. I leaned against the closed door, my legs trembling. That was too close. Later that evening, sifting through Caitlin's fawning public comments on Francesca Lucas's social media posts, an idea began to form. Francesca wasn't just a donor. She was a public figure with a reputation built on protecting children. Caitlin worshipped her, desperately trying to get her attention, tagging her in every LLL post. Francesca Lucas Official, you are such an inspiration. Lily's Loving Lantern tries to follow your amazing example every day. Would love to connect. Caitlin had written under one of Francesca's posts about online child safety. The irony was sickening. But Francesca could be more than just a witness. She could be a cannon, If she saw what I'd seen, what they were doing to Lily, what they were saying about their donors, about her. A new folder appeared on my desktop. For Francesca. I started selecting the most damning clips, the ones that would hit her the hardest. This wasn't just about reporting a crime anymore. This was about making sure their downfall was as public and as devastating as their deceit. The next 24 hours were a blur of adrenaline and furtive clicks. I barely slept, fueled by stale coffee and a burning rage that had now solidified into a cold, methodical purpose. My apartment, usually filled with Lily's laughter and scattered toys, felt eerily silent, a sterile war room. First, the official channels. I created a new anonymous email address, something untraceable, generic. One by one, I drafted the messages. To Child Protective Services, urgent concern for child welfare, evidence of emotional abuse and exploitation of a minor, Lily, no last name given, age 5, by her mother Marlene, no last name given, and Aunt Caitlin, no last name given, via online vlogging channel Lily's Loving Lantern. See attached video clips and transcripts. I attached a curated selection of the most blatant instances of manipulation and distress. To the local police department's fraud unit, reporting suspected charity fraud, Marlene and Caitlin, no last names given, operating Lily's Loving Lantern, soliciting donations under false pretenses, evidence of falsified financial records, misuse of donated funds for personal gain. See attached bank statement discrepancies, outtake videos discussing deception of donors. This package included the damning financial files and the clips of them mocking their contributors. To the IRS tip line, a concise summary of the financial fraud, highlighting the undeclared income and misuse of funds designated for charitable purposes. To View Vortex, the video hosting platform, reporting severe violation of terms of service, channel Lily's Loving Lantern engaging in child exploitation, fraudulent solicitation, and deceptive practices. Unedited footage attached. I included clips showing the behind-the-scenes coaching and Caitlin's comments about manipulating viewer emotions. Each send button I clicked felt like a small detonation. My hands were surprisingly steady. Then Francesca Lucas. This one required a different approach, more personal, more pointed. I spent an hour crafting the email, choosing my words carefully. I used another anonymous throwaway account. Dear Ms. Lucas, it began, you recently made a generous donation to Lily's Loving Lantern. As a fellow advocate for children, I feel compelled to share with you the truth behind this operation. The attached files contain unedited footage from their filming sessions. You will see how 5-year-old Lily is treated. You will also hear, in their own words, what Marlene and Caitlin truly think of their donors, and specifically their plans to leverage your generosity and reputation. I attached a small, carefully selected package. The clip of Lily being denied food and bribed with a stale cookie. The audio of Marlene and Caitlin discussing how Lily's little tears are pure gold. And then the kicker. A segment I'd unearthed where Caitlin, after reading one of Francesca's articles about ethical fundraising, had turned to Marlene and sneered, God, she's so sanctimonious. But if we play our cards right, Francesca, holier than thou, Lucas is going to make us famous. Lily just needs to look extra angelic for her thank you video. Maybe we can even get her to dedicate a tear to Francesca's amazing work. She'll eat that up. I imagine Francesca, a woman who had built her career on genuine advocacy, hearing that, seeing that. The betrayal would be personal, profound. Before sending Francesca's email, I called Mrs. Henderson. Lily still doing okay? She's having a ball, dear, Mrs. Henderson chirped. Currently trying to teach a kitten to fetch. It's not going well, but she's giggling her head off. Are you sure you can't come out tonight? Not tonight, Mrs. H., I said, a wave of relief washing over me. Lily was safe, happy. That was all that mattered. Can she stay one more night? I have a very important, unavoidable meeting tomorrow morning. I'll pick her up tomorrow afternoon. Of course, dear. The more the merrier. One more night. That's all I needed. I hit send on the email to Francesca Lucas. It was done. All the digital bombs had been planted. I meticulously cleared my browser history, deleted the anonymous email accounts, and powered down my laptop. I walked around my small apartment, picking up a stray sock, straightening a cushion, the calm before the storm. It was almost too quiet. My phone buzzed. Mom. Ria, I'm losing my patience. Is Lily better or not? We are losing valuable time, and Francesca's people are blowing up Caitlin's DMs. If Lily isn't here first thing in the morning ready to film, there will be serious consequences for your ingratitude. Ingratitude. The word hung in the air. I took a deep breath. The fear was still there, a cold knot in my stomach, but it was overshadowed by a resolute calm. I knew what I had to do. I walked towards my front door, then paused. No, not yet. I turned and headed towards the living room of my own apartment, the one they thought I was so beholden to them for. I could hear the television from Mom's unit next door, the sound of their laughter. They were probably in there right now. Caitlin scrolling through comments, Mom planning their next manipulative move, completely oblivious. The confrontation wasn't just imminent, it was here, and I was ready. I didn't knock. I just opened the connecting door, the one they'd insisted on keeping unlocked for convenience, and walked into Mom's living room. They were sprawled on the sofa, Caitlin glued to her phone, Mom flipping through a magazine, a half-eaten box of expensive chocolates between them. The fairy lights for Lily's loving lantern twinkled mockingly in the corner. They both looked up, startled. Ria, what are you doing? Mom asked, her voice sharp with annoyance. Is Lily with you? Is she finally ready? Lily's not here, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. I walked further into the room, stopping a few feet from the sofa. Caitlin scoffed, not even looking up from her phone. Seriously? Still milking that sick excuse? You know, for someone who claims to be so desperate, you're really screwing things up for us, Ria. Actually, I said, pulling my own phone from my pocket, I think you've been screwing things up for yourselves. I tapped the screen and a short video clip began to play. It was Caitlin, impatiently snapping at a crying Lily to look more pathetic, followed by Mom's voice cooing about hitting their weekly donation goal. The audio was crystal clear. Caitlin's head snapped up, her eyes wide. Mom's magazine slipped from her fingers. What is this? Mom demanded, her voice dangerously low. Where did you get that? It's from your LOL Outtakes Do Not Delete folder, I said calmly. The one you keep on the shared drive. There are hours of footage just like it. Hours of you coaching Lily, denying her food, making her perform when she's exhausted. Hours of you laughing about your gullible donors. Mom actually laughed, a short, harsh sound. Oh, Ria, don't be so dramatic. It's called production. It's how these things work. You're being incredibly naive and ungrateful, considering how much we've helped you. Ungrateful, I echoed, a cold anger rising. You used my daughter. You exploited her, emotionally abused her for money and online fame. Caitlin smirked, recovering her composure. It's for a good cause. Our good cause. Lily was helping the family. Besides, she added, a sneer playing on her lips, what are you going to do about it, Ria? Run crying to who? No one will believe you over us. I looked them both dead in the eyes. The fear I'd lived with for days was gone, replaced by a chilling certainty. I already did, I said, my voice quiet but firm. Mom's smile faltered. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the flash drive full of your unedited footage, the one with all the outtakes, the financial records showing where the donations really went, the audio of you mocking Francesca Lucas. Caitlin's jaw dropped. You wouldn't. Oh, I would, I said. And I did. This morning I sent copies of everything to Child Protective Services, to the Police Fraud Unit, to the IRS, to View Vortex's whistleblower line. I paused, letting the words sink in. And a special curated package just for Francesca Lucas. I imagine she'll be particularly interested in how you plan to use her and what you really think of her amazing work. Marlene stared at me, her face paling. You're bluffing. You're just trying to scare us because you're jealous of our success. Am I? I held her gaze. Do you really think I'd let you do this to Lily for one more day? Caitlin was scrambling for her phone, her fingers fumbling. This is insane, Rhea. You're destroying everything. You destroyed everything when you decided my daughter's tears were pure gold, I shot back. As Mom started to sputter, a string of denials and threats tumbling from her lips. You'll regret this. You'll be sorry. We'll tell everyone you're unstable. Caitlin's phone buzzed loudly on the coffee table. She snatched it up. Her eyes scanned the screen, and the color drained from her face, leaving it a pasty, shocked white. What? Mom snapped, her tirade cut short. What is it? Caitlin looked up, her eyes wide with dawning horror. It's from View Vortex, she stammered. My account. Lily's loving lantern. It's been suspended, pending investigation, for severe violations of community guidelines and potential illegal activity. Simultaneously, Mom's phone, sitting beside the chocolates, began to ring. An unknown number flashed on the caller ID. She stared at it as if it were a venomous snake. The confident smirk, the dismissive laugh, the arrogant disdain, all gone, replaced by a raw, naked panic. The laughter had died, and the silence that followed was deafening. The ringing of Mom's phone seemed to echo in the sudden, oppressive silence. Caitlin was still staring at her own phone, mouthing the words suspended illegal activity as if she couldn't comprehend them. Mom just stared at her ringing device, her hand hovering over it, paralyzed. Then the doorbell chimed, sharp, insistent. All three of us jumped. Mom's eyes darted towards the door, then back to me, wide with a mixture of fury and dawning terror. What have you done? She whispered, her voice hoarse. Before I could answer, the doorbell chimed again, followed by a firm knock. Marlene? Caitlin? This is Officer Fuller with the City Police Department. We also have Ms. Holmes from Child Protective Services. We need to speak with you. Caitlin let out a small, choked gasp. Mom looked like she was about to faint. I walked to the door and opened it. A uniformed police officer, Officer Fuller, mid-40s, with a no-nonsense expression, stood there. Beside him was a woman with kind but serious eyes, Serenity Holmes, who flashed a CPS badge. Ma'am, Officer Fuller said, his gaze sweeping past me to Marlene and Caitlin, who were frozen by the sofa. We've received credible information regarding allegations of fraud and child endangerment concerning the online channel Lily's Loving Lantern. Serenity Holmes stepped forward slightly. We also need to ensure the well-being of the child, Lily. Is she here? No, I said, my voice clear. She's safe. She's with a friend. Relief flickered in Ms. Holmes's eyes. Good. That's good. What followed was a blur of official voices, clipped questions, and the rustling of papers. Marlene, after an initial attempt to bluster and deny, this is outrageous. A misunderstanding. My own daughter's trying to cause trouble. Quickly crumbled when Officer Fuller calmly stated they had already reviewed significant digital evidence. Caitlin just sat there, pale and silent, tears silently streaming down her face, her influencer dreams visibly imploding. My phone started buzzing, then buzzing again and again. I glanced at the screen. Notifications from social media, mentions, tags. It was starting. Francesca Lucas, true to her reputation, had not been silent. She hadn't named names directly, not yet, but she'd posted a scathing video on all her platforms. She spoke of being personally and profoundly deceived by a supposed children's charity, of receiving disturbing evidence of exploitation and fraud, and urged her millions of followers to be vigilant. She didn't need to name Lily's loving lantern. Her followers were smart. The comments section under her video was already exploding with speculation, and a few eagle-eyed viewers were quickly connecting the dots to Caitlin's desperate attempts to curry favor. "My channel!" Caitlin suddenly shrieked, looking at her phone again. It's gone. Not just suspended, it's deleted. All my followers, everything." View Vortex had clearly acted fast. Officer Fuller and Ms. Holmes exchanged a look. The questioning continued, more pointed now. They asked about bank accounts, donation records, filming schedules. Mom's answers became increasingly vague, contradictory. Caitlin just sobbed. Within the hour, local news websites started picking up the story, initially as a local online personalities under investigation piece, then rapidly escalating as Francesca Lucas's veiled denouncement added fuel to the fire. The headlines were brutal. Child charity vlog, probed for fraud. Online angel exploited for cash. Donors, recognizing the vague descriptions, began posting their own angry comments on the now defunct Lily's Loving Lantern cached pages and on Francesca's posts, demanding answers, demanding refunds. The final, inevitable act came swiftly. After a hushed consultation between Officer Fuller and another detective who had arrived, they stood. "Marlene, Caitlin," Officer Fuller said, his voice devoid of emotion, "you are both under arrest for multiple counts of felony fraud and child endangerment." He recited their Miranda rights as another officer cuffed Marlene, then Caitlin. Mom was white-faced, trembling, finally speechless. Caitlin was a mess, mascara streaking her face, wailing about her life being over. I watched them being led out of the apartment, out of my life. There was no triumph, no fist-pumping moment of victory, just a heavy, grim satisfaction. The empire they'd built on my daughter's forced tears, on her coached sadness, was crumbling to dust around them. Ms. Holmes stayed behind for a few minutes. "We'll need to speak with Lily, of course," she said gently, "but in a calm environment with a child specialist. We want to make this as easy for her as possible. You did the right thing, Rhea. It took a lot of courage." I just nodded, feeling numb courage, or maybe just the desperate primal roar of a mother protecting her cub. Later that evening, alone in my quiet apartment, I saw a news report on TV. A stern-faced reporter stood outside the police station. "The investigation into the Lily's Loving Lantern scandal is expanding," she said. "Sources indicate that authorities have uncovered evidence of wider financial irregularities linked to one of the accused, Marlene, potentially dating back several years. Great Aunt Carol's disputed inheritance, it was all coming out. Karma, it seemed, wasn't just knocking, it was kicking down the door with steel-toed boots. The sound of their world imploding was, in its own terrible way, a symphony. The courtroom was colder than I expected, or maybe it was just me. I watched Marlene and Caitlin at the defendant's table. They looked diminished. The designer clothes were gone, replaced by ill-fitting suits. Caitlin stared blankly ahead, a hollowed-out version of her former self. Marlene, however, still had a flicker of that old defiance in her eyes, but it was brittle, easily shattered. The judge's voice was firm as he read the verdict. "Guilty on all counts of fraud, guilty on all counts of child endangerment." A small gasp escaped Caitlin, Marlene just flinched almost imperceptibly. When it came to sentencing, the judge didn't hold back. Caitlin got a significant sentence, community service, a hefty fine, and a permanent ban from any online activities involving minors. But for Marlene, it was worse. The investigation into Lily's loving lantern had indeed unearthed the older financial misdeeds, the great Aunt Carol situation, other smaller cons I hadn't even known about. A pattern of predatory behavior, the judge called it. Her sentence was much harsher. Prison time. Years. Their assets, the new car, the designer bags, the remaining balance in their charity accounts, all seized. A court-appointed administrator was tasked with trying to repay as much as possible to the duped donors. Francesca Lucas had even started a legitimate fund to help those who had lost money, a small act of restorative justice. I didn't attend every day of the trial, just the key moments. Ms. Holmes from CPS had been incredible, arranging for Lily's testimony to be given privately, gently, away from the courtroom circus. Lily, bless her resilient heart, had simply told her truth in her own 5-year-old words. Grandma made me cry for the camera. Auntie Caitlin said people liked sad girls. They didn't give me real cookies. It was more damning than any lawyer's argument. After the sentencing, I walked out of the courthouse into the bright sunlight, feeling lighter. Not joyful, not celebratory, just lighter. The weight I'd been carrying for so long had finally been lifted. Ms. Holmes met me on the steps. "How are you holding up, Bria?" "Okay," I said, and for the first time in what felt like an eternity, it was true. "Lily?" "She's with her therapist. They're drawing pictures of brave lions today." Ms. Holmes smiled. "She's a strong little girl. You both are. We had to move, of course. The old apartment, the proximity to Mom's place, it was all tainted. With some help from a victim's assistance fund and a small, unexpected inheritance from a distant relative I'd never met, ironic given Marlene's history, we found a little rental house in a quiet town a few hours away. It wasn't fancy, but it was ours. It had a small, slightly overgrown garden. The first thing Lily did when we moved in was run to that garden. I watched her from the kitchen window as she poked at a ladybug on a dandelion stem, her brow furrowed in concentration, then a slow, genuine smile spreading across her face. The sound of her laughter, unforced and pure, drifted in through the open window. It was the most beautiful sound in the world. There were no more nightmares about bad cookies, no more forced smiles for a camera. Lily was still in therapy, working through the confusion and the hurt, but the shadows in her eyes were receding. She was rediscovering the simple joy of being a child. I got a job at a local library part-time. It was quiet, peaceful. I started baking again just for us, the scent of cinnamon and vanilla filling our small kitchen. Sometimes late at night after Lily was asleep, I'd sit in the garden, listening to the crickets. The scars of betrayal were still there, a faint ache in my chest when I thought of the family I'd lost, the mother and sister who had chosen greed over love. But there was no remorse for what I'd done, none at all. The ties were severed permanently. There would be no prison visits, no tearful reunions, no forgiveness. Some things, once broken, can't be mended, and shouldn't be. Lily's well-being, her safety, her future, that was the only thing that mattered. One sunny afternoon, I was weeding a small patch in the garden, trying to make space for some tomato plants Lily wanted to grow. She came running out, her hands cupped. "Mama, look!" She opened her hands to reveal a wriggling earthworm. "He's helping the garden grow." I smiled, brushing dirt from my jeans. "He sure is, Sweet Pea." She carefully placed the worm back on the soil, then looked up at me, her eyes clear and bright. "Can we make cookies today, Mama? Real cookies, not sad ones?" Absolutely, I said, my heart swelling. The happiest cookies in the whole wide world. As we walked back towards the house, hand in hand, I knew this was it. This quiet, ordinary moment. This was the peace we'd fought for. The roar of a mother protecting her cub had been the loudest sound in the end. And now, finally, in the gentle hum of our new life, there was quiet. There was safety. There was a new beginning built on the ashes of the old, and it was good.